The migraine started when I was 12. Not ordinary headaches, but explosive bursts of pain that would leave me curled up in darkness for days. My parents' response was always the same. Madison's just being dramatic again. Now, at 27, I sat in another emergency room, holding a cold compress to my forehead while my best friend Tara filled out my paperwork. This was my third visit this month, but this time was different. This time, my left side had gone completely numb during the episode. "I called your parents," Tara said, settling back into the plastic chair beside me. I groaned, not from pain this time. "Why?" "Because you had what looked like a stroke, Maddie. You're too young for that. They need to be here." The fluorescent light stabbed at my eyes as I tried to focus on her face. "They'll just say I'm doing this for attention, like always." Right on cue, my mother's voice cut through the ER waiting room. "Madison Grace Porter, what kind of show are you putting on now?" My father trailed behind her, looking uncomfortable as always when my episodes were involved. They perfected this routine over the years. Mom played the exasperated parent, while Dad stayed silent and avoided eye contact. Her whole left side went numb, Tara explained before I could speak. She dropped her coffee mug and couldn't feel her leg. I found her on the kitchen floor. "Did you miss a deadline at work again, dear?" Mom's voice dripped with fake concern. "You always get these headaches when you're stressed." A young doctor approached before I could respond. "Ms. Porter, I'm Dr. Evans. We're going to run some tests, including an MRI. An MRI? My mother's voice shifted slightly. "Is that really necessary? She just needs some migraine medication." Dr. Evans looked up from my chart. "Given the symptoms and their frequency, we need to rule out several conditions. Has anyone in your family had a history of neurological issues?" "Absolutely not." My father spoke for the first time too quickly. "We're all perfectly healthy." The doctor's eyes narrowed slightly. "No history of migraines, strokes, or other neurological conditions on either side of the family?" "None," my mother insisted, but I noticed her hand trembling as she clutched her designer purse. "I see." Dr. Evans made a note. "And Ms. Porter, you said these headaches started at age 12. "Yes, right after we moved to." After she started middle school, my mother interrupted. Such a stressful time for children. Dr. Evans turned to my parents. "I'll need access to Madison's childhood medical records." "They were lost in a house fire," my father said smoothly. Too smoothly, like a practiced line. I frowned. "What house fire? We've lived in the same house since I was 12. My mother laughed nervously. "No, dear, remember the fire at Grandma's? All our old papers were stored there." But I did remember Grandma's house. It had never had a fire. Before I could say this, a nurse called my name. The MRI machine hummed around me as I tried to piece together the puzzle. My parents had always been weird about medical issues. They switched doctors constantly when I was young. Never stayed with one pediatrician for long. And there was something else, a memory just out of reach, from right before we moved. After the scan, I waited in the consultation room with Tara. My parents had gone to the cafeteria, claiming they needed coffee. Dr. Evans entered, holding my scans. His face was serious. "Ms. Porter, I'm going to ask you something unusual. Would you like to see these results before I discuss them with your parents?" "Why?" He closed the door carefully. "Because what I'm seeing here suggests a long-term condition, one that should have been diagnosed and treated years ago. And given your parents' responses to my questions, I'm concerned about what they might already know." My heart pounded. "Show me." He put the scans up on the light board. "Do you see these areas here?" He pointed to several bright spots. "These are lesions. They're consistent with a hereditary condition that causes progressive neurological symptoms, typically starting in adolescence." The room seemed to spin. Hereditary. But they said, "Ms. Porter, I took the liberty of doing some research while waiting for your scans. There was a neurological study published 15 years ago at the University Hospital in your hometown. It mentioned a family with a rare genetic condition, the Porter family." My hand started shaking. "What are you saying?" "The study was never completed. The family withdrew suddenly and moved away. The timing matches your move here and the onset of your symptoms." Memories started flooding back. Multiple doctor visits before we moved, hushed arguments between my parents, papers being burned in our backyard late at night. "They knew," I whispered. "They've known all this time what was wrong with me." Dr. Evans nodded grimly. "I believe so. And I think it's time we find out exactly what they've been hiding." Because without proper treatment, this condition. The door burst open. My mother stood there, face white as she stared at the scans on the light board. Behind her, my father looked like he might be sick. Turn those off, my mother demanded. We're leaving. No, I said, standing up despite my shaking legs. We're not leaving. We're going to talk about the study you ran away from 15 years ago. We're going to talk about why you've been calling me dramatic while watching me suffer. We're going to talk about everything. My father sank into a chair, putting his head in his hands. Helen, he said to my mother, we can't hide it anymore. The silence in the consultation room was deafening. Dr. Evans had ordered coffee for everyone, but the cups sat untouched as my parents struggled to find words. It runs in your father's family, my mother finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. His sister, your Aunt Kate, who we told you died in a car accident. She actually passed away from complications of the condition when she was 32. I gripped the arms of my chair. The aunt I never met? The one you don't have any pictures of? My father lifted his head, his eyes red. We burned the photos. We burned everything. We thought if we erase all traces of it, somehow you'd be spared. Dr. Evans leaned forward. Mr. Porter, your daughter's condition didn't disappear just because you destroyed the evidence. Instead, you robbed her of 15 years of potential treatment. Treatment? I echoed. There's treatment. The condition you have, hereditary progressive neurological disorder type B, or HPNDB, has several treatment options that can slow its progression when caught early. The study your parents withdrew from was actually testing one of the most promising treatments at the time. My mother's hands were shaking so badly she had to set her coffee down. We watched Kate deteriorate. The treatments they tried, they seemed to make things worse. When we found out Madison had inherited it. Found out? I interrupted. When exactly did you find out? My parents exchanged glances. My father pulled out his wallet and removed a folded paper, worn at the creases from age. We had you tested when you were 11, right after my sister died. The genetic test came back positive. I snatched the paper from him, reading the medical terminology through blurring eyes. There it was, my name, my blood test results, my genetic destiny that they'd hidden from me. The study. My father continued, they wanted to start you on treatments immediately, but we just watched Kate die despite everything they tried. We couldn't watch you go through that too. So instead you gaslit me for 15 years. My voice rose. Made me think I was crazy. Attention-seeking. Dramatic. We thought if we didn't acknowledge it, maybe it wouldn't progress, my mother whispered. We thought positive thinking. Positive thinking, Dr. Evans interjected. While your daughter suffered from increasingly severe symptoms. Do you know what untreated HPNDB can lead to? My parents flinched simultaneously. Tell me, I demanded. What happens if it's untreated? Dr. Evans looked at me directly. Without treatment, the lesions we see on your scan will continue to multiply. They can affect your mobility, your cognitive function, and eventually, your vital organs. Like what happened to Aunt Kate, I said numbly. My father broke down completely. We were trying to protect you. By lying? By watching me suffer? By making me think I was imagining things? Each question felt like a physical blow. Do you know what it's like to doubt yourself constantly? To think maybe you are just being dramatic when you can barely see through the pain. Tara, who had been silent until now, spoke up. I've watched her struggle for years. She's lost jobs because of sick days. She's had relationships end because people thought she was exaggerating. Do you have any idea what your protection has done to her life? My mother reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Madison, please, we were scared. We didn't know what to do. You could have told me the truth, I said. You could have let me make informed decisions about my own health. You could have been there for me instead of dismissing me. Dr. Evans cleared his throat. While we can't change the past, we need to focus on treatment options now. The good news is that there have been significant advancements in treating HPNDB over the past 15 years. The study, my father said suddenly. The one we left. What happened with it? It led to one of our current standard treatments, Dr. Evans replied. One that's shown considerable success in slowing the disease's progression, particularly in younger patients. The irony was almost too much to bear. The very study my parents had run from might have helped me all along. I want to start treatment, I said firmly. Whatever options are available, I want to know about all of them. Of course, Dr. Evans nodded. I'll arrange for you to meet with our neurological team tomorrow. But first, he looked at my parents. I need your family's complete medical history. No more hiding. My father nodded slowly, pulling out his phone. I have a password-protected folder with all the family medical records we didn't actually burn, including Kate's full case history. You kept them, my mother gasped. I couldn't destroy everything, he admitted. Some part of me knew we might need them someday. As my father pulled up the files, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Anger at their deception, relief at finally having answers, fear about my future, and a tiny spark of hope that it wasn't too late for treatment. Madison, my mother said softly, we can never undo what we did. But please let us help you fight this now. I looked at them both, the parents who had failed me so completely, yet out of what they believed was love. I don't forgive you, I said honestly. Not yet. But I need you to tell me everything now. No more secrets. No more lies. Starting with the real story of Aunt Kate. The next 6 months transformed everything. After starting treatment, my migraines became manageable for the first time in 15 years. The numbness episodes decreased, and my energy levels improved significantly. But the biggest changes weren't physical. They were in the truths that finally emerged. My parents brought over boxes of hidden family photos and documents. I spent hours looking at pictures of Aunt Kate, a vibrant woman with my same auburn hair and green eyes. In the earliest photos, she was dancing, hiking, living life fully. The later ones showed her gradual decline, but also her fierce determination. She'd been an advocate for HPNDB research, had volunteered for multiple clinical trials. She was the opposite of what you told me, I said one evening as we sorted through her journals. You made her death sound like a sudden tragedy, but she fought. She tried to help others. We thought we were sparing you from false hope, my father admitted. Kate tried everything, joined every trial, but still. But she lived, I interrupted. Really lived, instead of hiding. She made her years count. The neurological team had started me on a combination therapy, medication to reduce inflammation around the lesions, targeted treatments to slow their growth, and physical therapy to maintain strength and mobility. Dr. Evans said my prognosis was cautiously optimistic. Tara helped me start a blog about my journey. At first, it was just a way to process everything, but it quickly gained followers. Other HPNDB patients and their families reached out, sharing their stories. Among them was a message that changed everything. Dear Madison, I was part of the original study your parents withdrew you from. I'm now 42, married with 2 kids, and while HPNDB is still part of my life, it hasn't defined it. Would you like to meet? Sarah. Sarah became my mentor and friend. She showed me how to advocate for myself while maintaining hope. Through her, I connected with a whole community of HPNDB warriors, including some who had known Aunt Kate. Your aunt was our hero, one woman told me. She never gave up, and she made sure her experience helped advance the research. The treatment you're on now, she was one of the first to trial an early version. My parents struggled to accept this new reality where their secret was now my platform. They attended support group meetings awkwardly at first, then with growing openness. My mother finally started therapy to address her own trauma around watching her sister-in-law's decline. My father joined a parents' group for those with children fighting HPNDB. 1 year after my diagnosis, I organized a fundraiser for HPNDB research. Standing at the podium, I saw hundreds of faces, patients, families, researchers, all united in hope. A year ago, I thought I was alone. My parents thought they were protecting me by hiding my condition. But in doing so, they hid me from something powerful, this community. In the audience, my parents held hands, tears streaming down their faces. My Aunt Kate, who I never got to meet, understood something crucial, that our strength lies not in denial, but in facing this disease together. Every trial she participated in, every journal entry she wrote, every moment she chose to live fully despite HPNDB, helped pave the way for better treatments. Dr. Evans, sitting in the front row, nodded encouragingly. Today, I'm announcing the Kate Porter Foundation for HPNDB research. My parents are donating the money they saved for my future medical emergencies, the Truth Fund, as we now call it, to establish a research grant in her name. The applause was deafening. My father stood up, arms raised in triumph, no longer hiding. Later that night, at home, my mother handed me a final box. These are Kate's last letters. We should have given them to you years ago. Inside, I found dozens of sealed envelopes, each labeled with a different age. For my niece, on your 16th birthday. For my niece, when you fall in love. For my niece, if you inherit our family's challenge. With trembling hands, I opened the one labeled for my niece. When you learn the truth. Dear Madison, if you're reading this, you've discovered our family's secret. You might be angry, scared, or feeling betrayed. All those feelings are valid, but please know this, you come from a line of fighters. This disease is part of our story, but it's not the whole story. Live boldly, fight smartly, and never let HPNDB make you small. Your life might look different than you planned, but it can still be beautiful. All my love, Aunt Kate. I looked up at my parents, seeing them clearly, not as the deceivers of my past, but as frightened people who had let their fear overshadow their judgment. We can't change what we did, my father said softly, but we can honor Kate's legacy by facing this together, openly and honestly. My mother nodded, adding, and we can help other families avoid our mistakes. The future still held uncertainties, but no more secrets. APNDB was part of my story, but like Aunt Kate, I would choose how to write the chapters ahead. Sometimes the hardest truths, once revealed, light the way forward.